The theme for this year's monster movie review series is creature features, and the movie I'm about to review is not only a absolutely excellent example of a creature feature, but it also links up to my theme for my monster movie reviews from 2 years ago, which was Universal horror movies, the classic Universal monsters, because I'm going to talk about the creature from the Black Lagoon, which is not only a sterling example of 1950s science fiction horror monster movies, but is also generally regarded as the last of the classic pantheon of Universal monster movies, which also includes the classic versions of Dracula and Frankenstein and the Wolfman and the Mummy and the Invisible Man. Sometimes people chuck the Phantom of the Opera in there, the Lon Chaney version of Phantom of the Opera. But Creature from the Black Lagoon is the last one to sort of make his appearance. And Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of the most unique and special of those classic black and white Hollywood monster movies. It was released on March 5th, 1954. It was directed by Jack Arnold, who, if you recall, also directed It Came from Outer Space, and he directed the film I will be reviewing last in the series this year. That video goes up tomorrow. He directed 3 of the 5 movies I'm reviewing this year. I'll have some sort of cumulative thoughts on Jack Arnold at the end of the next review. It was also produced by William Allen, who produced It Came from Outer Space, and as I mentioned in that review, he was also an actor. You may recognize the back of him from Citizen Kane because he played the reporter who was investigating the death of Kane in the frame story of Citizen Kane. The screenplay was by Harry Essex, who also wrote It Came from Outer Space, and Arthur Ross, who worked in Hollywood as a writer for many years. After this, in the 70s, he co-wrote the story to the film Brubaker, which starred Robert Redford. The story was by Maurice Zimm, who again was a writer who worked extensively in film and television throughout the 1950s. The cast, the lead actor is Richard Carlson, who was also the lead in It Came from Outer Space. The female lead, the lead actress, is Julie Adams, who worked extensively in film and on TV, especially in westerns during that period. Richard Denning, who is a veteran of sci-fi horror films. He also appeared in the films Unknown Island, Creature with the Atom Brain, and The Black Scorpion. And it features Whit Bissell, who is a very prolific character actor. He appeared in many films and television series, including I Was a Teenage Werewolf and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Time Machine, and on TV, The Outer Limits, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Star Trek, Time Tunnel, The Incredible Hulk, and many, many more. An incredibly long, prolific career for Whit Bissell, and he's one of those guys that even if you don't know his name, if you see his face, you will recognize him instantly. You'll go, oh, that guy. And I also want to mention 2 more names that aren't always mentioned with the cast, but very much deserve to be. Those are Ben Chapman and Rico Browning. These are the 2 men who portrayed the creature in this movie, which is usually called the Gill-Man. Ben Chapman played Gill-Man when he was on land, and Rico Browning played Gill-Man when he was in the water, and that particularly is a fantastic performance. The themes of Creature of the Black Lagoon, the issues that it concerns itself with, are issues that are, again, familiar to the creature feature genre. There's the idea of humanity's hubris, of humanity's ignorance, sort of coming back to bite us in the ass. But it looks at these themes in a way that is very different from the other films that I'm discussing, and from most other creature features, most other sci-fi horror films of the 50s in general. Unlike the films like Them, or some of the other mutated giant creature movies, the monster in Creature from the Black Lagoon is not a atomic mutant, is not the creation of a mad scientist, is not supernatural in any way. It is a completely natural creature. The film actually begins with a rather lovely summation of the evolution of life on Earth. It begins with the creation of the universe and the creation of Earth, and then it takes us very, very quickly and very generally, but for the most part pretty accurately, through the evolution of life, where it begins in the sea, and then life forms begin to come onto the land, and eventually we find the great splendid diversity of life on Earth as we see it today. And the setup is, and man is continuing his quest to answer the questions, to read the record of life on Earth as it is left in the fossils, as it is left in the bones that have been scattered throughout the millions and millions of years of natural history. And that's where we pick up the story. In South America, when scientists on a fossil expedition discover this incredible fossilized hand. It looks like a human hand with 5 fingers, but it has scales and webbing in between the fingers, and it's discovered jutting out rather preposterously, rather improbably, from strata of rock, sort of in a cliffside. And the archaeologist is like, oh, hey, that's interesting, and he yanks it out of the stone and he takes it to a university nearby where he meets the Richard Carlson character and the Julie Adams character, and they all agree that they have to go on an expedition. They have to go back to where this fossil was found, and they have to look for more. What they don't know is that fossil is of a species that is still alive. And that's what the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Gillman, is. It is not an unnatural creature or a mutant. It is simply an animal, a humanoid animal, that has survived for millions of years in a very isolated environment. It has sort of been allowed to thrive in its own little habitat while evolution, the rest of the planet over, sort of passed it by. It's got its own little enclave. The lagoon itself is sort of a metaphor for a pristine world within our world. It's like an alien world within the world we know. That's a theme that recurs in the movie, both in the environment of the lagoon itself that they eventually find where the creature lives, and also in the underwater world. There's a lot of this film that takes place underwater, where the characters are diving and they're collecting specimens, or they're looking for the creature, or they're looking for ways to fight the creature when things turn violent. And there's always this sense, and sometimes it's stated explicitly when the characters will just come out and say something like this, that the world under the water is like an alien world. And that's a very strong, very important theme in this movie, that there are alien worlds on Earth that are a part of our natural world, but in which humans are functionally invaders. If we go there, we are going to places that we don't belong. We're going and we're intruding in places that we don't understand. That's a very important part of this film. That's the great sin that kicks the story of this movie off, is humans taking it upon themselves to trip and stomp and invade areas of nature where they don't understand and where they don't belong, and where they neither seek nor are they able to attain balance and equilibrium with the environment. And the Gillman himself is just a part of that environment. He's just a creature. And when he first encounters the humans, there isn't really hostility on his part. There's curiosity. There's actually a really beautiful sequence when Julie Adams goes swimming in the lagoon, and she's swimming on top of the water, facing down, and the creature comes up underneath her, and she doesn't see the creature. She doesn't know that the creature is there, but the creature is sort of swimming facing up underneath her, and they're mirroring each other. They're swimming parallel to each other. It's a really beautifully choreographed sequence. So the creature is curious at first. It's not until the humans realize that the creature is there and they begin first trying to capture him to take him back as a specimen, because they haven't seen King Kong, apparently. Or if they saw King Kong, they didn't get it, they didn't understand it. And then when the creature lashes out at them because they're trying to capture him and take him away from his home, then they start trying to defend themselves against the creature, and they start trying to kill the creature. So it all turns into a big clusterfuck, and it all becomes very violent. And ends on a very sad note, because this misunderstood creature, this misunderstood animal, sees his curiosity turn to defensiveness and turns to violence out of necessity, because the people who invade attempt to impose their will on him instead of appreciating him and trying to get to know him on his own terms. Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of the best of the creature features. It is, I think, probably the the best of the 5 films that I'm reviewing this week. I've spoken very highly of Them. I think Them is a splendid example of this genre, is a really good movie and a really fun movie. But I think in terms of just technical production and artistic accomplishment and emotional content and just all around, I think Creature from the Black Lagoon is the best of the 5 movies I'm reviewing this week, and one of my favorite horror movies, period. It's just a fantastic movie. The acting is all really good. Richard Carlson is terrific in the lead role. He's playing a similar character to the one he played in It Came from Outer Space. He's sort of a rational, thinking, thoughtful, intelligent man who is trying to make the best of what quickly becomes a very unreasonable and dangerous situation. But it's not the strong performances that set this movie apart. What really sets Creature from the Black Lagoon apart, and I think for all of the films I've discussed in this series so far, there has been one element, either a design element, some element of the technical production that has really set it apart and made it noteworthy. And for Creature from the Black Lagoon, it is definitely the creature itself, in terms of the character design, the elegant, beautiful design of the creature itself, to the graceful way that the creature swims through the water. I cannot stress enough, if you have never seen this movie, this does not seem like a stuntman in a monster suit. The creature in this film seems absolutely at home in the water, in its natural environment. It is such an amazing technical and artistic accomplishment, the way they pull off the creature in this movie. And it is easily, I think, the most beautiful of the classic Universal monsters. In its way, it is the saddest of the classic Universal monsters. The best performance in the movie, I think, is Rico Browning, who plays the gill man in the water. And those sequences underwater are some of the best underwater sequences ever filmed for anything. I would hold them up against anything. I'm not a big fan of underwater sequences in movies, by the way. I often think that the way underwater action is filmed just bleeds all the excitement out of it, because everybody's moving slow and it seems like the water is more of a barrier to action than something to facilitate action. But in Creature from the Black Lagoon, not at all. The underwater scenes are so well shot and so well mounted. It's an incredible achievement on the part of the actors and the crew, and Jack Arnold as the director. Some of the best underwater stuff you'll ever see at the movies. If you have not seen Creature from the Black Lagoon, for all the reasons that I have just said, for all its praises that I have just sung, one of the best horror movies, one of the best creature features you'll ever see, you have to see Creature from the Black Lagoon.